Hello everyone. In today's video, we will discuss the poem A Valediction Forbidding Mourning, written by famous Jonne Donnes. The term valediction means to say goodbye, but here Jonne Donnes doesn't allow the other person to be sad. He forbids mourning, he forbids crying or being sad because of this parting, because of this farewell. This is a very beautiful poem written in an unusual way. So let's move into the details of the poem. Now, to begin with, this poem is a metaphysical poem, and our poet Jonne Donnes is one of the metaphysical poets. I will talk about metaphysical poems and the metaphysical conceits later in the poem. But as an introduction to the poem, you should know that Donne wrote this poem to his beloved. Now, when I say beloved, we do not know whether this beloved was his wife. There are critics who claim that the poem was written after the death of his wife as a love poem to capture his love, to show the love that they shared. We do not know for sure that it is a poem written for his wife, but we will go on with the idea that this is a poem that Jonne Donne wrote for his beloved. So, this is a poem that Jonne Donne wrote when he had to take a short break from England. He was moving to France for a short period of time. So, it was during this time when he was in France, during his short visit in France, that he wrote the poem Valediction Forbidding Mourning. He was telling a farewell, a goodbye to his beloved for a short time, and he was asking his beloved not to be sad about this separation, about this parting. And also, the poem was published only after the death of Jonne Donne. Now, let's move into the poem. In the first stanza, we get an image of the death of virtuous men or the good men. Jonne Donne says, as virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go, whilst some of their sad friends do say, the breath goes now, and some say no. That is, when good men die, they die very quietly, very peacefully, that even the people who are around them are not sure if the person is actually dead or not. Their death is so peaceful, he dies so peacefully. Now, Jonne Donne says to his beloved that just as how these good men die very peacefully, very quietly, we should also part, we should also separate without making any noise, without informing others, very quietly and very peacefully. This is what he says in the coming stanzas. The continuing lines goes like this. So let us melt. He's using the word melt. Okay? Others shouldn't know that something is happening. It should be a very slow change, a slow melt. Let us melt and make no noise. Let us not inform others that this is happening. No tear floods nor sigh tempests move. Now, tear floods and sigh tempests are examples for hyperboles. Now, hyperbole is a poetic device which simply means exaggeration. Now, we know that even if we sit for 24 hours and cry, 24 into 7 and cry, we are still not going to flood our rooms. We are still not going to create any floods. And nobody could sigh that hard that a storm is created, a tempest is created only because of the sigh. Now, here you see the phrases tear, floods, and sigh tempest. Now, this is an exaggeration Donne uses in the poem. So these are examples for hyperboles. So basically, Donne is telling his beloved, let's not make a commotion, let's not make a tamasha and show others that this is what is happening in our lives. We are being separated and we are being very sad about this separation. And let us not make all these tear floods and sigh tempests like the common people. We are not common people. Our love is not common love. We have a divine love, a spiritual love. And he says, it were profanation of our joys to tell the laity our love. If we react like ordinary people and we let the ordinary people know, laity means ordinary. So if we let them know about our love like that, we are actually destroying the divinity of the love, the spirituality of the love that we share, the bond that we share. You find alliteration in this line, the sound l in laity and love. The sound l is repeated here. Now, continuing with the same idea that he shared in the previous stanza, that their love is divine. It is not something that common people should know about. He continues with these lines. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant. But trepidation of the spears, though greater far, is innocent. Now, moving of the earth means the earthquakes. What happens if there is an earthquake? We will surely be frightened. There will be a lot of destruction. Many things would be destroyed. We will be harmed. We will be frightened. Men reckon what it did and meant, and all these things happens. But our planet, all the planets, all these spheres, what are spheres? Planets. All these spheres in the universe, in the galaxies, these are moving every day. But nobody cares. We are not affected by what happens to greater things. Same way, our love should be like the movement of the planets, not like earthquakes. They should part silently, without any pain, without any fears. Otherwise, again, it would take away the dignity of this love to announce that they are in pain, to tell everybody, every common people that they are in pain, that this is happening. It would be to take the dignity of their love away. Now, if you think John Donne has gone to an extreme end, glorifying his love and putting all the other love of the world as something that is very common and not very divine, then you have to wait and watch. Because in the coming stanzas, in the coming lines, John Donne is going to canonize their love even more. So, in the next stanza, dull sublunary lovers' love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. Now, lunar, you know what lunar is? Lunar is related to moon. Now, sublunary lovers, that is, sublunary means the things that come under the moon, that is, earth. Dull sublunary lovers' love. He calls the love of the people on the earth as dull. Okay, so sublunary lovers, simply they are the people in the earth. So the love shared, the love expressed by the people, common people on earth, is very dull according to John Donne. Why is it so? Because Donne says the essence, the main part of a common person's love is sense. What are the senses? Like the sight, taste, hear, and all those things. Hmm? For a common man, for a common person, their love has this dependency on the physical presence of the other person. You should be able to touch the other person, you should be able to see the other person. So there is always this element of sense which keeps these two people together, and because of this they could never admit the absence of the other person. They could never accept the absence of the other person, because they were in a love that required their physical presence, the other partner's physical presence. But John Donne says, we meaning John Donne and his beloved, by a love so much refined, again a divine love, a spiritual love, we are not sharing a love like the others. Our love is so much refined that ourselves know not what it is. We ourselves do not know what kind of a love it is. It is that divine, that spiritual, inter assured of the mind, careless eyes, lips, hands to miss. Our love is so different that we don't miss the eyes, the lips, or the hands. We don't miss the physical presence of the person. We are connected by our mind, inter assured by the mind. And then the poem goes on. Our two souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach, but an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. Now, as he told, they are not supposed to be affected by the absence of the other person. They are inter assured by the mind. So they don't actually have two souls. John Donne says our two souls are actually one. We are one. And even though I must go, you have to endure it in a very good way. This is not a breach. This is not a separation. I am only being parted from you for a very short time. You must see this as an expansion, not as a separation. That is what happens. He uses a simile here, like gold to airy thinness bead. What happens when we beat gold? Gold doesn't break, gold expands into a thin foil. Same way, even though I am moving apart from you for a short while, we are not being separated. We are parted for a short time, but it should be like an expansion, like how gold is beaten into airy thinness. In short, he means to say that our bond is not breaking, it's only expanding. It will come back. Don't worry. And then he continues saying that now we talked about our souls being one. Now, suppose they be two. We have different souls. They are two, so as if twin compasses are two. Now, here you have a paradox. In the previous stanza, Donne just now he told that our souls are one. And now Donne says that they have two souls. Donne and the beloved, they have two souls, and their souls are like twin compasses. Donne and his beloved are like the two feet of the compass. Thy soul, the fixed foot. Now, when you use a compass, you know how to use a compass. You have the one of the foots of the compass, which is fixed on the paper, and the other foot where we attach the pencil is the one that moves. So, only if the fixed part of the compass remains fixed properly, the other part could be used to draw a perfect proper circle. Now, here, Jonne Donnes says that his beloved is like the fixed foot of the compass. She makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. Now, the fixed foot doesn't move, it will only move or incline a bit if the other foot is moving. When we draw a circle, the fixed foot will have its nib. The pointed part of the foot would be there on the paper at one particular point. But we will have to move the compass, incline the compass, just bend the compass slightly a bit so that the circle could be drawn easily, properly. So, same way, the fixed foot, the beloved, doesn't move. She only is inclined when the other foot has to move, when Jonne Donnes is moving. And though it in the center sit, even though our fixed foot is fixed in the center, yet when the other far doth roam, when the other foot is moving around in circle, when Jonne Donnes is moving, he is traveling, it leans and hearkens after it and grows erect as that comes home. So the fixed foot is tempted to move as the other foot moves in circles. And as soon as the other foot comes home, reaches the point of beginning, the fixed foot stands straight because the other person has come home. Such wilt thou be to me. You will be like that fixed foot. Now, in this stanza, you find Jonne Donnes being very romantic, not in the literature sense that we know. It's just like how we add captions to our Instagram post and Facebook stories. We say, "You are my constant. You are the only constant in my life." The same way, Jonne Donnes calls his beloved the fixed foot. You are the fixed foot, the stationary point, the constant in my life, around which I revolve. So, such wilt thou be to me, who must, like the other foot, obliquely run, and thy firmness makes my circle just, and makes me end where I begun. Only if you stay strong, only if you are firm, I can complete my journey properly. My circle will be proper. My journey would be okay. And that makes me end where I begun. That will bring me back home. So, your stability is what will bring me back to where I have started from. It will bring me back home. A very beautiful way of saying that you are everything to me. You are my constant. I want you to stay strong. I don't want you to be thinking of our love as something that is very common, like something that is shared by others. We have a divine connection, we have a very spiritual love, and this is not a farewell, this is only a temporary separation. So, that is the poem Valediction Forbidding Mourning. Now, we find two important themes here. One is that of love. Of course, this looks like a romantic love song, a Bollywood song. So, it's actually something that highlights their love, and you will also find elements of grief because of the separation that is going to happen. Also, you might have already got tired by listening to me saying about the divinity of the love, the spiritual nature of the love that they shared. Because the theme of spirituality is connected to the theme of love in the poem. Their love is not thought to be something that is physical or earthly, but it is thought to be something that is on the divine level, the spiritual realm. Now, moving forward to some technical aspects of the poem. The poem Valediction Forbidding Mourning was published in the collection Songs and Sonnets. It contains 9 quatrains. Now, one quatrain is a stanza of 4 lines. So, there are total 9 stanzas. Each stanza contains 4 lines. So, 9 quatrains. The rhyme of the poem is ABAB, the rhyme scheme, and the meter used is iambic tetrameter. Now, in the beginning of the poem, I had mentioned that Jonne Donnes is a metaphysical poet, and his poems, he is a very famous poet who is known for his metaphysical poems. Now, to give a simple explanation about what a metaphysical poem is, a metaphysical poem simply has a metaphysical conceit. Now, that would seem funny to you when I say a metaphysical poem will have a metaphysical conceit. Now, I'll explain what a metaphysical conceit is. Metaphysical conceit is like a metaphor. Now, when you have a person who can run very fast, when you know someone like that, and you compare this person to a cheetah, you understand that very easily. He is, of course, a person who can run very fast, and he is being compared to a cheetah. It is a metaphor. Now, if we take this metaphor to the next level, if you make comparisons of two things which have no relations at all, then you call it a metaphysical conceit. Like, for example, in this poem, we have Jonne Donnes comparing the lovers to a compass. Now, who would have thought that lovers could be compared to a compass? So, this is the speciality of metaphysical poets. They make these types of comparisons which we would have never imagined. This type of comparison is called metaphysical conceits. And metaphysical conceit is a very important feature of metaphysical poems. Our poet, Jonne Donnes, is the most important poet when we learn about metaphysical poems. With that, we come to an end to this video. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope the video was useful to you. Please let me know in the comment section. And do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.